The wine glasses clinked. Laughter erupted. Music pulsed against the wooden walls of the cabin as if the entire place had been rented for some grand family reunion. Except it hadn't. It was mine. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us, where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. My phone buzzed nonstop with notifications. I was sitting in a crowded airport terminal, waiting for my connecting flight, when my best friend Harper texted, "You're not going to believe this. Check your inbox." I opened the videos she'd sent, and my jaw locked. There they were. My parents, my sister Jenna, her smug fiancé, even my cousin Logan, all dancing in the cabin I'd secretly bought 2 months ago. The same cabin they had mocked me for even considering. In the first video, Jenna twirled around, holding a champagne bottle. "Finally, a place worth celebrating in. Too bad it isn't hers," she sneered, and the others roared with laughter. I gripped my phone, so hard my knuckles went white. My heart pounded, not from shock, but from a cold, familiar anger. They had done this my entire life. Mocked, dismissed, used me when it was convenient. Now they were parading inside the one thing I kept hidden, the one place I thought was mine, alone. My husband Ethan was on a short business trip only 2 hours away from the lake. I forwarded the videos to him, my fingers trembling but steady with purpose. Within 5 minutes, he called. His voice was calm, but I could hear the storm beneath it. "Tell me this isn't real." "It's real," I whispered. "They broke in. They're celebrating like it's theirs." Silence. Then, a single sentence that made my stomach twist. "I'm driving there right now." I sat frozen in the terminal, earbuds in, watching another video Harper had recorded through the window. My mother raised her glass and said, "At least one of us has the guts to enjoy this place, not like my daughter who wastes her life on pointless dreams." My vision blurred, but I didn't cry. Not this time. Instead, a strange calmness spread through me, because I knew what was about to happen when Ethan walked through that cabin door, and an hour later, he did. Harper's camera caught the moment. The music cut mid-beat. Every laugh turned to silence. Ethan stepped inside, tall, broad-shouldered, his jaw tight, holding up his phone with the forwarded videos still playing. He didn't need to shout. The look on his face was enough to turn their celebration into dread. The slam of the cabin door echoed louder than any music they had been playing. Claire's family froze mid-laugh, champagne glasses half raised. The fire in the stone fireplace crackled, but no one dared to move. Ethan Lawson stepped in, every inch of him rigid with fury. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. His silence was sharper than any blade. In his hand, his phone still glowed, the videos playing on repeat, Jenna spinning in circles, Diane raising her glass, Richard slurring about how his useless daughter would never amount to anything. "Funny party," Ethan said, voice low but cutting through the air. "Did my wife forget to invite me? Or did all of you forget this house doesn't belong to you?" Claire's mother, Diane, tried to chuckle, her face paling. "Ethan, darling, don't be dramatic. We were just breaking and entering." Ethan's tone turned icy. Mocking. Claire in her own home? Drinking? Celebrating like parasites in the one place she kept sacred? The champagne glass in Jenna's hand trembled. She glanced at Marcus, who whispered, "Stay calm. He won't do anything." But Ethan's eyes narrowed on him. "Marcus, isn't it? You laughed the loudest. Something funny about trashing your fiancé's sister behind her back?" Marcus opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Richard finally stood, puffing his chest as if reclaiming authority. "Listen, Ethan. This family built everything Claire has. She owes us. That cabin should have been shared, not hidden away. Ethan stepped closer, his shadow swallowing Richard's defiance. Shared? Claire worked day and night for years. Every cent that bought these walls, every nail in this wood, came from her. Not you. And you, he jabbed a finger toward Diane, mock her dreams when she sacrifices more than any of you ever did. Diane's face flushed crimson. She's our daughter. We have a right— No! Ethan snapped, his voice booming for the first time. You have no right. Not anymore. You've humiliated her long enough. You turned her kindness into an open invitation to use her. But this— He swept his arm around the cabin, his voice trembling with restrained rage. This ends tonight. The— Silence was suffocating. The family stood stiff, guilt written across some faces, denial across others. Claire wasn't there physically, but she felt the scene through Harper's live video. Every word Ethan delivered, every line of truth he dropped, was what she had buried in her chest for years. Jenna finally hissed, "So what? She buys a cabin and suddenly thinks she's better than us? She'll always be the same pathetic girl, begging for approval. She can't erase who she is." Ethan turned, eyes burning into her. "You're right. She can't erase who she is. Loyal, hardworking, stronger than any of you. But she can erase who you are in her life. After tonight, none of you will see her unless she chooses. And if you set foot here again, I promise the law will handle it." Logan shifted uncomfortably, muttering, "Come on, Jenna. Maybe we went too far." "Too far?" Ethan barked. "You filmed yourselves mocking her. You broke into her sanctuary and ridiculed the woman who's done nothing but put up with your abuse. Tell me, Logan, was it funny when you watched her mother call her a failure? Did it make you feel powerful? Because all I see are cowards hiding behind each other's laughter." The words landed like punches. Richard's jaw clenched, but his eyes darted to the floor. Diane's lips trembled as though excuses were trapped in her throat. Ethan pocketed his phone and straightened. "Here's how it's going to be. Everyone leaves now. You walk out of here and never step foot in Claire's cabin again. You don't call her, you don't show up uninvited, you don't whisper her name at gatherings unless you plan to speak the truth." "Or what?" Jenna spat, her pride bleeding through her fear. Ethan leaned closer, his voice a venomous whisper. "Or I'll make sure the entire town knows what kind of people you really are. I'll show them every video, every insult, every toast you made at her expense. And when your so-called friends see the truth, it won't be Claire's reputation. Shattered. It'll be yours." The room went dead silent. No one dared to challenge him. Even Jenna, her face twisted with rage, couldn't summon words. Ethan stepped aside, pointing at the door. "Get out." Chairs scraped, glasses clinked back onto the table, coats were snatched from hooks. One by one they filed out, Diane muttering curses under her breath, Richard gripping her arm to shut her up, Jenna storming past with Marcus trailing like a coward, Logan keeping his eyes glued to the floor. When the last car engine roared to life and disappeared down the winding road, Ethan finally exhaled. He stood in the middle of the wrecked cabin, surrounded by empty glasses and torn confetti, but the silence now was peaceful. He picked up Claire's favorite blanket from the couch, folded it carefully, and whispered into the quiet, "They'll never hurt you again, Claire. Not while I'm here." And miles away in the airport terminal, tears finally streamed down. Claire's face, not from pain this time, but from the relief of knowing that for once, someone had stood for her when her own blood would not. The taxi rolled up the gravel road the next morning, tires crunching against the dirt as Claire finally arrived. The cabin loomed ahead, the soft morning fog clinging to its edges like a secret. For weeks she had imagined walking up to it for the first time as its proud, hidden owner. Instead, her chest burned with the memory of Harper's videos, her family laughing, pouring drinks, tearing into her name as if she were nothing more than a joke. Ethan was already waiting on the porch, His eyes softened the moment he saw her. Step out of the car, suitcase in hand. Exhaustion etched into every line of her face. He came down the steps in 2 strides and wrapped her into his arms before she could even speak. "They're gone," he murmured, his voice steady against her ear, "and they're not coming back." Claire clutched him tighter, the sting in her throat breaking into a sob she couldn't hold back. "I watched every second, Ethan. Every word they said. I thought I'd grown numb to it, but it felt like they ripped something out of me all over again." Ethan pulled back, his hand brushing her cheek. "No, they didn't rip anything out. They just showed their true faces. You still have everything they'll never touch. Your strength, your freedom, and me." Claire nodded, but anger still simmered in her gut. She dragged her suitcase inside, and the sight nearly buckled her knees. Wine stains on the rug, crumbs on the counter. Chairs left scattered like a storm had blown through. They hadn't just invaded her sanctuary, they had desecrated it. "This was supposed to be my escape," she whispered, her voice cracking. "The one place that belonged to me alone. And they turned it into a circus." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we take it back. Not just the cabin, your story. No more being their scapegoat. No more letting them set the narrative. This is your chance to show them you're done being small." Claire sank onto the couch, gripping her knees as flashes of memory filled her head. Her father sneering when she turned down law school, her mother laughing when she failed to land a promotion, Jenna mocking her for dreaming too big. It was always the same chorus, "Claire's not enough." But last night had changed something. Ethan's voice, steady and fearless, had sliced through decades of their cruelty. He hadn't just defended her, he'd forced them to look in the mirror. "They think I'll crawl back," Claire said finally, her voice steadier. "They've always counted on it, that no matter how bad they treat me, I'll show up, forgive them, let them back in. But not this time." Ethan sat beside her. "Then what do you want to do?" Claire's eyes hardened. "I want them to see they don't own me anymore. I want them to feel the silence of me being gone, the weight of not being able to use me as their punchline. And when they realize I don't need them, that'll be the revenge." Harper arrived a little later, groceries in hand and eyes wide as she looked around the messy aftermath. "Wow, they really trashed the place. I still can't believe you held back and didn't come straight here last night." Claire gave a thin smile. "If I had, it would have turned into a war. Watching Ethan handle it, that was enough." They looked terrified, Harper. For once, I wasn't the weak one in their eyes. Harper squeezed her hand. "That's the thing, Claire. You never were weak. They just made you believe it." For the rest of the day, Claire and Ethan worked side by side. They cleaned the cabin, restoring it to the sanctuary she had dreamed of. Each wine stain scrubbed, each broken glass tossed out, felt like erasing another scar they had left on her life. By evening, the cabin was quiet, golden light spilling through the windows as the lake shimmered beyond the trees. Claire stood at the window, her reflection staring back at her, tired but unbroken. "They'll call," Ethan said from behind her. "They'll try to explain, twist it, make you feel guilty. Are you ready for that?" Claire's lips curved into a bitter smile. "Let them call. This time, I won't answer." Her phone buzzed right then, as if on cue. "Caller ID, Mom." She let it ring. Then another came, this time from Jenna, then her father. Claire placed the phone face down on the counter and turned back to Ethan. "The silence will be louder than anything I could say." Ethan studied her with quiet pride. "That's my wife." For the first time in years, Claire didn't feel like a daughter desperate for scraps of love. She felt like herself, strong, independent. And she knew deep down, this was just the beginning of her transformation. Because revenge didn't always come in slammed doors or shouted words. Sometimes the sharpest revenge was absence, the undeniable truth that they no longer had power over her life. The cabin was hers. Her life was hers. And they would have to sit with that. The silence lasted 3 days. 3 days of unanswered calls, ignored texts, and unread voicemails piling up on Claire's phone. At first, it was easy to leave it untouched, but by the 4th morning, a knock rattled the cabin door. Claire froze. Ethan rose from his chair, shoulders tense, and opened it. Her parents stood on the porch, faces pale, the weight of sleepless nights etched in every wrinkle. Jenna and Marcus lingered behind them, whispering furiously, their smiles brittle. "Claire?" Diane began softly. "Please, can we come in?" Claire stood in the center of the cabin, arms folded. She shook her head. "No. Whatever you came to say it here." Richard cleared his throat. His usual booming confidence had thinned to a wavering rasp. "We made a mistake. Things got out of hand. We didn't mean to disrespect you." Claire cut him off, her voice sharp. "Didn't mean to? I watched you raise a glass to my failure, Dad. I watched you, Mom, laugh about how useless I am. That wasn't an accident. That was the truth you've been carrying for years." Jenna scoffed. "Oh, come on, Claire. You're being dramatic. Families fight. We were just having fun." "Fun?" Claire stepped closer, her eyes blazing. "You broke into my home. You turned it into a stage to humiliate me when I wasn't even here to defend myself. That isn't family. That's cruelty." Diane's voice cracked. "But we're still. Your blood—" "No," Claire snapped, her tone steady and final. "Blood isn't enough. Respect matters. Loyalty matters. And you showed me I'll never have either from you." Ethan's presence behind her was like a fortress. He didn't speak, but his silence was power, his hand resting lightly at her back, reminding her she wasn't standing alone. Marcus tried to chime in, his voice dripping with mock charm. "Look, we all got carried away. Maybe if you just let us—" Claire's laughter cut him like glass, cold, bitter, but strong. "Carried away? You wanted my cabin. You wanted me out of the picture because the idea of me finally having something of my own made you sick. Well, guess what? You don't get a seat at this table anymore." Jenna's eyes narrowed, venom flashing. "You'll regret this, Claire. You'll come crawling back. You always do." But this time Claire's lips curved into a calm smile. "Not anymore. I'm done begging to belong. You don't own me. You never did." The porch went quiet. The Lawson family stood there, rattled, expecting her to cave, expecting the same old Claire who swallowed insults just to keep peace. But she didn't flinch. Finally, Diane's shoulders slumped. Richard muttered something under his breath, and one by one they turned and left. The crunch of gravel under their tires was the sweetest sound Claire had ever heard. Inside, Ethan wrapped his arms around her. "You didn't just stand up to them. You buried the old version of you who thought you needed them." Claire leaned against him, the weight finally lifting. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about freedom. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the lake, Claire sat on the porch swing with Ethan and Harper. The cabin, once tainted by betrayal, now glowed with something stronger: peace. She realized the greatest victory wasn't seeing her family scatter in shame. It was knowing she had finally built a life where their approval no longer mattered. And, for the first time in her life, Claire Lawson felt untouchable.